Space and Law in the Hospital of Santa Maria Nuova. The Hospital of Santa Maria Nuova was founded in Florence in 1288, and it is still in work today, an extraordinary example of adaptability to the changes of society of a healthcare institution. Santa Maria Nuova has always been exemplary. Many other institutions all over the world adapted their architecture, ordinances, and organization to the ones of Santa Maria Nuova. In particular, at the beginning of the 16th century, Santa Maria Nuova ordinances had achieved remarkable specificity and completeness. In 1513, Pope Leo X sent his personal physician to Florence to study management methods and medical practice applied in Santa Maria Nuova as a model for the new hospital of Santo Spirito in Sassia in Rome. Francesco Sforza, planning a new hospital in Milan in 1456, sent his architect Filarete to Florence to examine the building of Santa Maria Nuova and to assess its ordinances as well. In 1546, Ferdinand of Austria asked Cosimo I Medici to send the Statute of Santa Maria Nuova in order to provide a model. Also, Leon of Portugal modeled the Statute of All Saints Hospital in Lisbon on the ordinances of Santa Maria Nuova. In England, Henry VII and his son Henry VIII chose Santa Maria Nuova as a model for the Savoy Hospital, founded in London at the beginning of the 16th century. Today, only the hospital chapel remains. The Savoy Hotel and Theatre take the place of the old building in the Strand. Francesco Portinari, patron of the Florentine Hospital and papal protonotary, personally carried the 2 copies of the statute from Florence to London. These manuscripts still survive. The surviving ordinances of the Savoy Hospital, which we have recently edited, constitute an interesting benchmark to evaluate the importance of the Florentine model on influencing the development of the spaces of care. We can therefore find out information about the planning of the hospital space in the ordinances that have come down to us. We propose as a case study the relationship between Santa Maria Nuova and Savoy Hospital statutes in the 16th century, as they have survived. The aim of our study is to bring out the details of the environment organization, focusing on the terminology used to mention spaces in these 2 regulatory texts. The statute regulates many aspects of life in the hospital. Some chapters provide us with an essential representation of the environments and their purpose, how they were conceived, arranged, and placed according to their functions. Of course, the ordinances do not allow for a reconstruction from a philological point of view, but the collected data in an interdisciplinary approach may enhance the understanding of the ancient hospital setting and arrangement. Inside and outside the hospital, spaces had specific functions. Some rooms were reserved to prayer, as church, chapels, shrines, hygiene, as bathrooms, laundries, and hospitality, as reception halls, dormitories. There were kitchens and pantries, storage rooms for tools and linen equipment, rooms for the hospital structured personnel, space for the production of treatments, vegetable garden, pharmacy, rooms for doctors and surgeons' equipments, archives for offices for accounting documents, treasury, cemetery. Information about the spaces is not so detailed in the older Santa Maria Nuova statutes, dating from 14th century. The references to hospital environments are minimal. But in the 16th century ordinances, many indications occur. Over the years, pieces of information have been added and references to the hospital place have been increasing. In this table, we can see the description of hospital spaces in the Savoy ordinances, following the example of Santa Maria Nuova. It is important to underline that some words are translated into English from Latin to facilitate the reading of the legislation and to immediately locate the space in question. In the Savoy Hospital, the space dedicated to record keeping and management is described as a real archive, and it expands and includes the notion of treasury. Particular attention was paid to the storage of the documents. The chapters dedicated to this topic also describe where the rooms of the hospital archive were located. A series of at least 3 rooms located in as many areas of the Savoy building, in which the documents were divided by type. Different environments were provided for different kinds of records in an articulation that even includes 3 dedicated spaces. So 3 different rooms were dedicated to preserve the Savoy Hospital archive and treasure. Chamber at the ground floor, where reports are drawn up and kept by type, written by the magister of the hospital, by officers and ministers. It consists of reports about hospital properties, inventories, book of accounts, register of legal disputes, rents, oaths of the member of the staff. This room was located on the ground floor next to the magister's room. This environment was called Sacrarium, as in the statute of Santa Maria Nuova. The keys to the door and to the boxes were kept by the magister. On the ground floor, next to the kitchen, there was the room of accounts or counting house, where only the senescalc and the kitchen cleric kept the books of accounts and payments for hospital expenses and towards his suppliers. On the first floor of the tower, on the opposite side to the hospital door, there were the 2 rooms called Tesaouraria, the treasury. Here, not only the precious furnishing and the money were preserved, but also the statute, the royal letters patent, and the most important documents relating to manors, lands, estates, rents and rights, with the exception of those of these still in current use, which were preserved in the first chamber. Each box had 4 locks, whose keys were held, one each, by magister, sacristan, confessor, hospitularius. This section in particular can be considered like a kind of historical archive. As we can see, in some cases, such as in this last one, the location can be attempted and the reading of the statutes proves to be very useful for the reconstruction of hospital spaces.